Life can be a dark room, a heavy weight, a pain you can't see through. But there's a way, 'cause I have been there too, hurting just like you. Oh, the light will find you in the dark. It's not too late, and you're not too far. No matter how life breaks your heart, His love will find you no matter where you are.
Good morning, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've joined the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us connected, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. Our topic today is during Autism Awareness Month, we celebrate the musically gifted Joe Bugalki. And hosting with me is Rick Bernardo.
Hi, that's me.
And we have Joe joining us.
Hello.
And we have Mark Warple of Warple Music, who is a music producer, a rock star, and a music educator.
Yeah. Thank you. Morning.
Good morning. And Scott Harold from Rock the Cause Music Production Company. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Lori, how are you?
I am good. It's always a joy to have
Wonderful.
you. We're
Thank you.
particularly excited to have Joe today.
And we just heard the song "No Matter Where You Are," just so people know what that beautiful sounds were.
Joe, you wrote that song.
I did.
Tell me a little bit about your music and a little bit about that song.
So I grew up playing music. I started playing piano when I was 2 years old. I started songwriting when I was 15. During the pandemic, I studied at McPhail for music composition, and the song that you just heard, "No Matter Where You Are," was inspired by the passing of my dad, and it was a spiritual connection that I wanted to be reminded that even though he was dying at that time, that he was going to love me no matter where he was.
When did you start really getting into music and expressing yourself?
At 2 years old on a toy piano.
Yeah.
And then moving from there, when did you start writing and wanting to express yourself more fully through your music?
I was about a freshman in high school when I started really diving in with my first song, which was just kind of an elementary introduction into songwriting. But I wrote this song with my teacher called "Don't Dance the Dance of the Devil," and then moving forward, I never thought that I would be circling back into Christian music. But then in 2018, when I came to Red Wing, I had lost my uncle to suicide, and I had worked with Mark on a song called "Ascended to the Father," and that was kind of what helped transition me into Christian music. And then my first song that led me to all of this was "Friend Above All," which stemmed from my dad having going through chemo and me sustaining a significant broken leg that I had to have 3 surgeries for.
Oh.
When were you diagnosed with autism?
In 2018, so not only did I lose my uncle to suicide, but I had a late diagnosis of autism as well, and so it was a big year for me as I was going through all of this transition and emotional stuff, and I think it was probably God's calling for me to dive into Christian music, and then it sort of just snowballed from there.
And you're part of the Nashville
Songwriters Association International.
Tell me about that and how you got involved with that.
So, about the same time in 2018, I had decided that I really wanted to get my music out there, and I wanted to find a source that I could get my music recognized by a music community, and so I joined that, and I joined Universal Music Center, and that's where Mark and I started working together as well. And so I just really wanted to dive into music and see where it took me, and then it was in 2021 that I really got sort of my big break with Friend of Evolve. They had recognized my song as the runner-up for this member awards.
And this is a big deal.
It is.
It's like,
I want to stay here. Just pause here for a moment. This is like a really big deal.
I think there was 1,600 songs, and these are by people that are flooding to Nashville to be songwriters. And
16,000.
And there's a lot of talent. It's not just people just like just tossing off like crummy songs.
Oh, these are hit songwriters.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you were telling your story, but I just want to have this be emphasized that this was not just like, a nice little songwriting opportunity.
Yeah.
This was a major competition, and you were a runner-up
Yeah.
and recognized for that in 2021.
Yeah, so we have 16,000 songs evaluated each year, over 5,000 members worldwide in our organization, and over 100 chapters from here to New Zealand.
Wow.
And with that, you went down to Nashville and were recognized. And
I was the runner-up with Friend of Evolve, and then moving forward 3 years later is when I got on my aunt's 97th birthday on December 20th. I was chosen for the Milestone Award.
Milestone Award, the Nashville Songwriters Association International.
so tell me about what the Milestone Award means.
So the Milestone Award was given to me for notable success in my songwriting career and having my music distributed by Sony and The Orchard through Rock the Cause.
I also want to mention you have a medal that I was particularly enamored by. It's kind of like an Olympics medal.
He's wearing it, yeah.
that designates you as having the Milestone Award.
Yeah, it's cool.
Could you also give your website?
It's www.joe, Bigalke, B as in boy, IGALKE, music.com.
When I went to your website, I noticed that there was a T-shirt that I want to buy. Bigalke it?
Just Bigalke it.
So you got to give me I know we have to. We're wanting to hear your song, and we're going to hear an outro song, continuing the one that we've just been hearing. But you have to tell me the story behind the Just Bigalke it.
So Just Bigalke it was coined by the executive director Bart Herbison of the Nashville Songwriters Association. That is for fearless tenacity and persistence in my musical career, and as a humanitarian artist and a songwriter.
Bart is the director. He's the one that goes to Washington D.C. and advocates for musicians, royalty, receiving. So he's a major player in the music industry. And he was doing an interview with Joe, and that's how he came out. He goes, "You know what? You should. I think he said it right then. You should make a shirt that says "Just Bigalke," because Joe will go up to anybody at any point and say, "This is my idea, and what do you think?" So it's Just Bigalke.
With that, I will go to your music, but just know I will be ordering a Just Bigalke.
That's awesome. And what's cool is that you'll be supporting autism awareness, suicide awareness, and music education. 100% of those proceeds benefit those 3 charities.
Wonderful.
So we're going to hear just another portion of No Matter Where You Are, which just won that award we were talking about. All right?
No, you got your eyes closed, but not for long, 'cause it was a bright hope coming on strong, like arms around you now. Can you feel it
motown.com.
There was an ornament that I made when I was in the second grade. It wasn't pretty, but Mama didn't care. Always had to be there. There's another one that she bought the first time I met Santa Claus. And then there was the silver one. It would light up and play Christmas songs. Oh, I remember looking up at the Christmas tree, decorated with memories, with the ones that meant the most to me. Looking up at the Christmas tree, oh, how I love those memories. It meant so much to me. Looking up at the Christmas tree.
Good morning. I know it's not Christmas, but this is a wonderful song. And I welcome you to the Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and hosting with me today is Rook Bernardo. And we have, our topic is, during Autism Awareness Month, we're celebrating the musically gifted Joe Bugalki, and that was one of Joe's songs. Yep. We also have Scott Harold from Rock the Cause Music Production Company, and hello. Mark Warple, who is a music producer, rock star, and music educator. I want to go to you first, Scott. Tell me about how this is loved out in the music world, this song.
You know, looking up at the Christmas tree, I tell you what, you know, and hi, this is Scott Harold. I'm the CEO and founder of Rock the Cause Records, Joe's record label. You know, I first heard the demo for that song, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is one of the greatest Christmas songs I've ever heard. And, you know, and you know, Christmas playlists at radio, et cetera, music albums, et cetera, compilations are kind of stuck on the same 50 songs for the past, the past several decades. We hear the same songs over and over again, redone in different versions. So we need new Christmas songs. And I heard that song, and it was one of the most beautifully written Christmas songs I'd ever heard. And that song is getting airplay at Christmas time on what we call non-commercial radio stations across the country. In fact, when we look at Joe's royalty statement with BMI, which is a performance rights organization, we typically see every year in February that during the Christmas season, looking up at the Christmas tree gets about 4,000 to 5,000 spins through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And that Corporation for Public Broadcasting is all of those public radio stations across the nation. We don't always have specific information on the station specifically because those stations don't report to something called Mediabase, which helps to track airplay by individual station, et cetera. But I think it's pretty amazing because even some of your most popular contemporary Christmas songs during the Christmas season maybe only get 5,000 to 10,000 spins nationwide on, what we call commercial radio. But Joe, on the non-commercial side, those important, critical, community public radio stations, looking up at the Christmas tree gets heavy airplay.
That's wonderful.
And that was singing was Sophia Shorai. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. And we forgot to mention Brooke Elizabeth, who's on that other song, the first song in the first segment, No Matter Where You Are, right?
It's pretty, incredible. That's all we keep saying is this is incredible. But to bring in those singers, both Brooke Elizabeth and Sophia Shorai are Dakota, the music club in Minneapolis performers, to have them involved in this, just amazing. So, it's interesting for me to hear these songs, in these headphones this morning because I'm working on so much music, but then to hear them again, and that takes me back right to, I had Brooke in my studio at home, just in February singing that. Oh. So I can picture her standing at the mic singing that. And then same thing with Sophia Shorai, just amazing to have her on. I was working with her on other projects. We're working together on television, publishing music, and her and Brooke. And I can picture Sophia standing in the studio in Red Wing at the Anderson Center, singing those lyrics. And it was September, I believe, and that kind of thing. But
Well, tell me about your history with Joe.
yeah, with Joe, one thing I was going to say about your Christmas comment is I actually keep a Santa Claus next to me all year round, so it's okay to have Christmas every day.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, with Joe, my interest in music comes from my family, stemming back to educators, and my dad's in the church choir, directing. He was at, when I was young, and then we were always around musicians. So it's something that for some reason just encompasses me. So it's that constant thing. It's always flowing, I think, which is what a good part of it. So Joel shows up in part of that flow where I'm actually have another student. She was 13, I believe, young girl, maybe 12 even, and performing at a bar in Red Wing in the evening. And her parents were there, and she's playing piano up in the front area there. And it was on the break. That was the first time I met Joe. So because I worry about the 12-year-old in a bar first of all, and then so Joe walks up and says, "Hey, can I play your piano while you're on break?" And this 12-year-old said, "Sure," because she doesn't know, not to say no, and then Joe doesn't know not to ask.
So it was an experience.
Yeah, right.
It's all yes.
So then Joe sat down and rocked back and forth for a half hour and played basically one chord over and over again. He's just playing, and just you could tell he's enjoying it, and the people enjoyed it too. But he played that one chord very emotionally. He did a really good job at it. That was the beginning, like he was saying, when he was, that was probably right around that time, 2017, 18, whatever it was.
Yeah.
When you lost your uncle.
Yeah. And then, so then he quickly came in to where I was teaching at the time. And then we started working together on songs with 2 chords and 3 chords, and we started talking about that idea. And then at the beginning, so it was me, so I actually work with other autistic students too, and people when you teach, from the ages 5 to 80, I have as far as students go, or clients, whatever you want to describe them. I don't really work in a program. I work individually, which everybody, I call it a boutique style of teaching, because I have a hard time with programs, and because there's not one program for everybody.
And a program might turn a person off.
It very much does. I think we lose many students to the piano recital experience because they're not ready to perform and they're in front of a lot of people, and it's not a good experience. Yeah. So that's my speech on that. But so I enjoy working with everybody individually, and so then Joe was one of them in my my life, my nights. How I have to navigate everything I'm going through, and then. So Joe was a pretty bright light coming in. Early on, he was working on singing them himself. He had another, remember Pri? Pri was another girl that he worked with that was a very nice person, and they tried performing together, and they did some performances and stuff.
Yeah.
Once Joe got into the, and this, I guess, it was once he got into the Nashville Songwriters Association, that's when he started learning about being able to be the songwriter. And have other people be the performers. Uh-huh. And I talk about that with I have great friends right now that have been performers. Even myself, I sing and I have music out all over the world on TV, but my voice doesn't take me over the top. Uh-huh. So that's part of that idea, this producing idea. What is this song calling for? And then so with Joel, he started to learn early on, and that was a great program, and they were real receiving to Joel. And Joel will walk up to anybody and say, "Hey, want to write a song together?" Him and Rick are going to be doing a song right after the show.
So probably.
So. Good.
I was going to say, we're going to be hearing just another portion of Looking Up at the Christmas Tree. It's just, it was very hard to pick just parts of this, so we'll just play a little more of that. Yep. And this is again with Joe's song with Sophia Sharai.
Yeah. Right.
And when we come back,
looking up at the Christmas tree, decorated with memories, with the ones that meant the most to me. Looking up at the Christmas tree, oh how I love those memories. It meant so much to me. Time has a way of moving on. Now since I'm grown that this year I can be.
Of Minnesota.
Fall to my knees and I begin to pray. God, heal my heart, take my pain away. Let me hear angels singing, be joyful refrain. I will give thanks and praise to your blessed and holy name. Oh Lord, you are the friend of my heart. My hour of darkness, you help me along. Near the Lord Jesus, I will give you all, because you are a friend of my heart. In darkness I feel your spirit draw nigh, like a cross on the church in a sunset sky.
Good morning, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. Our topic today is during Autism Awareness Month, we celebrate the musically gifted Joe Bugalki. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you.
So glad you're here. My co-host is Rick Bernardo.
Oh, that's me.
Yes, that is. We have Mark Warple of Mark Warple Music. He is a music producer, rock star, and music educator. And Scott Harold from Rock the Cause, the music production company. How are you, Scott?
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
We're glad you're here, too. What I'd like to do is continue our conversation that we were having with you, Mark. And could you also give us your website? Because I think there may be some folks out there that would like to have you as their educator.
Right. I do online lessons, so I teach all over the country. I did a session in Paris, France, just the other day, that kind of thing. So it works well, being able to do that. So yes, anybody's invited. I teach all over Minnesota that way. My main studio is in Red Wing at the Anderson Center, Tower View. Beautiful spot down there. But yeah, anybody can come in and give me a call. Get on the website. It's M-A-R-K, Warple, WOERPEL, and then music. So
Just
Mark
look
Warple
for
Music.
Just look for that online. It's easy to find.
Yeah.
Your
Mark
website.
Warple.
There's a contact page on there. And then Joe has his page too. It's Joe Bugalke, Bigalke.
For Bugalki.
Yeah.
It's like Big Al with a K-E at the end.
Right.
Just Bugalki it.
Just Bugalke.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of which, that song we just heard was "A Friend Above All," which was one of the first, nominated with the Songwriters Association, right? And that had Anna Filkins singing it, right? Well,
Yes.
with a lot of other voices. Right. Holy cow!
well,
that was just her.
That was just her. Okay, I was wondering.
that was me on the backgrounds too.
yeah.
So yeah.
I figured there was somebody else in there, but all right.
Yeah. So yeah, we end up piling up the vocals and make it sound like a
That's cool.
church choir there.
So cool.
That was the first song, continuing the idea of working with Joe. So Joe and I were working, again, he's just started working with National Songwriters Association. He hooked up just amazingly with a phenomenal writer named Jamie Floyd. Yeah. Jamie Floyd is just, the reason for these emotional tie-ins, the renditions, just phenomenal. And she's worked with Kelly Clarkson, Miranda Lambert. She's the music bed right now for The Voice. Unknown. She's one of those. That's the Nashville thing that I was talking about. Like the idea of being a songwriter, you don't have to be the face out there, but you're the creator of the feeling.
You're the inspiration.
Jamie is that kind of a person. She's not that well known as out there as a performer, but holy cow, she's out there in the writing area. Joe hooked up with her as a writer mentor. She took to Joe the same way I did, and Scott Harold did, and seeing that one element that is, it's a nice spot in our lives. And then I think Jamie took to that too. So that's the first time all of a sudden me and Joe, Joe would come to me with the titles is the process. And Joe sends me 10 titles a day. So, and that's part of his focus with autism too, I believe. And so, but anyway, we'll weed through the titles and we'll talk about, I'll kind of go through what I feel as it hits me. And I'll say, this is a great title, I come from a church family. We're deeply embedded in Lutheran Church. My family, they were the church presidents, and I performed sometimes 4 days a week at my church, and I played every Christmas too. So I guess I lent myself towards that. And I do a lot, obviously rock with Ricky Medlock from Leonard Skinner and my band, Them Pesky Kids. So the rock star part, but so I can go across the genres, but with that same feeling, it's still, there still needs to be a feel there. Friends Above All was that first one. Jamie worked with us on the lyrics. In other words, it would come to me. We would start the layout, start the chord pattern with what I hear from Joe playing on the piano, and Joe will sing something. I'll take that melody motif, and then we work with that. It goes back to Jamie and Joe. They finalize the lyrics and the melody. Comes back to me to all be recorded at Mark Warple Music. So we'll do it at the Anderson Center, Tower View. That gets recorded or in my home studio.
And I've been to that studio and love it.
Yeah, beautiful spot in the world,
Yeah.
So that's the process. So Friends Above All, that's when then Joe, didn't know not to ask Scott Harold for a record deal, and then, so he Scott Harold took to it just as well, and with all of that. So
tell me about your experience with that.
So Friend Above All stemmed from probably one of the lowest points in my entire life. I sustained a broken tibia, and I was bedridden for 2.5 months. And it also was written during the pandemic. So when you hear the opening couple of lines, it's looking out my window, not much has changed. Every day is the same old routine. Really, I was writing it about myself, but I think what made it what resonated across the board, I think, and this was before I joined with Rock the Cause, that I was already in Syracuse, New York, and in Houston, Texas. And that's when I approached Scott and said, I really think that we need to take this on and expand what we're doing here. And it's just really incredible how, when I saw the sunset over the Episcopal Church in Red Wing, Minnesota, how I think that was God's calling for me to really be into Christian music. And then that was when I got the email from NSAI, Nashville Songwriters, that said that I was nominated for A Friend Above All for the Online Song Feedback Award. And so that's why I think. And then, even though I didn't win, I was given a story behind the song, which is done by Bart Herbison, and it's only offered to those who have had major hits, like The Dance by Garth Brooks. And I was the first unsigned songwriter in Nashville music history to have been given the story behind the song by NSAI.
So that got you some attention then. That's cool.
Yeah, we took about 8 months to work on that, and that was the pandemic time when everybody's sitting on, their computers and talking. And
sure.
So and then that, with Scott Harold coming in, became the large element that allowed this to expand, through Rock the Cause and that charity-driven label. So.
Scotty, tell me about how this came to be from your point of view, too.
Yeah, it's a treat working with Joe, and I mean that sincerely. Joe and I have become, great friends, and it's been truly a highlight of my life to be able to work with Joe and mentor Joe, on the machine that is the music industry, because the music industry does not always come from a place of good. And sometimes when you're really coming from a place of good, you're kind of that lone voice that's out there. And, I had known Mark prior to this. Mark and I had known it together. But Joe began, somewhere or another, Joe got my phone number and began texting me and calling me and Facebook inboxing me. Persistent. And telling me, I'm an exciting songwriter and I want to work with you. And at that time, I was kind of in a place in my life where I was struggling. Do I want to continue down this path? Do I want to continue doing what I'm doing? Do I want to do something else? And Joe would call and we would talk, and I understood that Joe has autism, and I've worked with numerous people with in a career capacity, both trade skills and creative career skills with people with autism. So I always wanted to be kind and empathetic and listen to Joe and hear him out. But after months of Joe calling and pursuing me, he called me one day and just said, hey, I just got this big, recognition with the Nashville Songwriters Association International, and please take a listen to my song. And so I sat down one day with a cup of coffee, sat in my beautiful, garden, which is everybody who knows me knows I garden and I have my sanctuary. And I just kind of heard this voice saying, Scott, maybe the Great Spirit's trying to tell you something, and maybe you should listen.
Yeah.
And so I called Joe back on the phone. I said, Joe, let's work together. And, with Joe and working with people with autism, it's what's amazing in that story about Joe is that, and I've said this before in your show, Lori, that fear is the disability that we all share. It is the great disabler of us all. Joe is fearless. He has no fear in the pursuit of his mission and his dreams. And he really, really wants to change perception on the face of autism and what people with autism are capable of achieving. And so when we went to launch A Friend Above All, we really had to go through a branding process with Joe, with the right kind of photography, the right kind of look, just get him ready for that world stage. And, we did that utilizing a lot of artists down in Red Wing, with Joe using local designers, local photographers, even on the current new single, No Matter Where You Are. I mean, that's a painting that was done by Mark's niece. And so it's this incredible collaboration of artists and people from across the globe who know how to listen with their hearts and understand what Joe is trying to do. And it's been an immense honor and privilege to be able to serve Joe and serve the autistic community and whatever path the Great Spirit is leading us down with this.
One thing I'd like to mention too is how that even starts to, again, with the flow idea. Joe's just been at. We just did a radio show with the mayor of Red Wing Thursday morning. The mayor of Red Wing has asked Joe to be on the Human Rights Commission in the city of Red Wing.
Wow.
And that he will represent the needs of people like Joe in living in society, and he's an example of success that way.
Wonderful.
Well, once more, go to Joe Bigalke Music. That's Bigalke for Bigalke, and .com, right?
Yep.
And then we're going to hear a little more of A Friend Above All, and then we'll be back hearing more music.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And we have been celebrating Autism Awareness Month with Joe Bigalke, who's a very gifted musician. Thank you for joining us, Joe.
Thank you.
Wonderful to have you here, along with Rick Bernardo. Brick.
I can be a brick sometimes.
Rick Bernardo,
To be a brick.
who is my co-host. We also have Mark Warple of Mark Warple Music. He is a music producer, rock star, and music educator. And Scott Harold of Rock the Cause. You are the founder and the CEO of this musical production company.
Yep. Hi.
And what I'd like to do is start with our friend Joe. And you have a couple stories that you want to share.
I do.
Let's start with this song's story.
So, the story behind the song was this little boy in our community. One night I was working at the Y in Red Wing, and this little I had heard all of these sirens and stuff going down towards the river, and when I found out, he had just had his preschool graduation, and he and his siblings and his dad were thrown into the river by an oncoming barge. Their fishing boat had stalled, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just can't believe it. I just seen him like not even 2 hours ago, and I started writing this song called You're All That We Need. And because I was like, I'm just constantly praying as I'm writing this song. And then I took it to Jamie and Mark, and I'm like, we really got to tell this story because this was impacted by the family so much. And I sang it for his mom and the little boy when he was in the hospital, and he smiled.
And he was unconscious at the time.
Right, and he had smiled through the whole entire song while I was singing it, and then I was going through some of my own health issues, just recently as well, and I admit, I depend on rides to get down to Rochester for, because I have a disability and I don't drive a lot. I met 2 people that were part of the civilian rescue that day, which is just incredible how my songs touch people's lives and the people that I encounter through music and these stories that I'm telling about our community.
And what I love is how all those different connections and how the connections give another deeper awareness of an incident, of an opportunity. And when you connected with that little boy while he was unconscious and you saw that smile, it must have been deeply fulfilling.
I was just talking to him on the phone, but I could just imagine somebody who had just gone through that tragic occurrence. And then what's crazy is that You're All That We Need would bring full circle to me as well, because when my dad died, my mom requested that to be played at his funeral, and I had to I called Mark and asked him if because his voice was on it before Anna's.
I did the demo, yeah.
And I was like, can I play this at church for the funeral?
It was my honor to have it. It was neat. It was very nice for me to know that sound was ringing through that church. And I saw a video of it at the time, and so it was really nice to be a part of that.
This is the song that won the award, is that right?
No. You're All That We Need.
All That We Need. Okay.
Was the one I had written for the
first. Okay.
No Matter Where You Are was the awards one.
Scott?
The other idea too on that is that's Anna Filkins. That's a third singer. So Anna Filkins is also tied into me and Joe as one of the students. And she started very young at 10 years old, and now she's just this beautiful singer doing.
She was on A Friend Above All as well as You're All That We Need, which we just heard.
Beautiful voice also.
And Scotty, I'm going to let you wrap this up with tell us about Rock the Cause and how folks can get this music and what it supports.
Well, yeah, absolutely. One of the things that's very important to Joe is that Joe wants proceeds from downloads and streams, that the things, the royalties. Royalties are the payments the record label receives from our distributor Sony. So when you stream and you download, but also buy Joe's merchandise, everybody needs a Just Bacalky T-shirt. You can go to joebacalkymusic.com, joebacalkymusic.com. Joe has an array of merchandise there that you can purchase. There's also links to his songs where you can go to Amazon, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, your preferred music services, and you can stream or download Joe's music. And then what Joe does, per Joe, we donate 100% of the net proceeds, 100% of the net proceeds from the T-shirt sales, stream downloads, etc., to the charitable causes of Joe's, choice. And over the past year, we've given a lot of the proceeds to an organization called Autism Speaks, which really is doing great work to raise awareness and support, at the national and international level of what individuals with autism can do and what they can contribute and what they can create. And Joe is living proof of that. I don't want to get political on this, but, yesterday there was news from Washington that said, RFK said people with autism will never play baseball. They will never write poems. They will never fall in love. And here we have sitting on your show today an internationally award-winning songwriter who embraces his autism as a way to help others. So go to joebacalkemusic.com and honor what Joe is doing with his work, and honor all of those people out there who have autism, who have felt other throughout their life, who can do incredible things and know that they are capable of it.
Thank you, Scotty.
Joe Bacalke, Mark Warple. I'm still Rick.
Brick.
We'll make sure that everyone has the websites. So.
Yep.
We'll start with Joe Bacalke. And could you spell that for me?
Bigal, like Big Al with a K-E. Music.com. Yep. JoeBacalkeMusic.com.
And Mark, share yours.
Mark Warple Music is WOERPEL. Yep.
And Scotty?
iRockTheCause.org.
Wonderful opportunity for you all to get connected. And we do ask in our fourth segment always to do a little bit more. And this is one way that you can give back and enjoy beautiful music that Joe brings us and give something back during Autism Awareness Month. And if you are like me, you're going to enjoy getting Just Bacalke It. And tell me one more time, Joe, what Joe Bacalke means when you Joe Bacalke it.
So it's persistence and fearless tenacity, but overall being a great humanitarian and artist and being a voice and expanding the communication, because autism is a social communications disorder, and it's an extension of outreaching.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Scott. And thank you.
you.
Have a great week.